All right, so the last part. So 4.4, we split into two sections. So this last section is going to be writing equations of parallel and perpendicular lines. Okay, so let's look at number 3. We need to write the equation of a line that passes through the point 1, negative 5, and is perpendicular to the line y is equal to 1 over 8x plus 2. So first, perpendicular lines have to remember about their slopes. So their slopes have got to be opposite reciprocals. So the slope of my original line is 1 over 8. So the opposite reciprocal of 1 over 8 is going to be negative 8 or negative 8 over 1. So negative 8 is going to be the slope of my perpendicular line. So now from here, I want the equation of my line. Now the equation of our line that we normally see is slope-intercept form. Y is equal to mx plus b. So we're going to do this one a little bit differently than we have with the others. Okay, so with the others, we've been doing point slope form, and that's perfectly good. You could still use point slope form here, and it would work just as well. But I do want to show y'all another way to determine what your equation can be that maybe some of you like better because it does use slope-intercept form, which we're already so familiar with. So currently, I've got my slope of my line, and I've got a point that passes through it. So I've got an x and a y. So if we recall what slope-intercept form is, it's y is equal to mx plus b. So let's plug in everything that we have and solve for everything that we don't have. So we have a y, it's negative 5. So negative 5 is equal to m is negative 8, so negative 8, times x is 1, so we put that in, plus b. So b is the one thing that I don't have. So since it's my only variable, this is just going to be a variable in, or excuse me, an equation in one variable, so I can solve it pretty easily. So I've got negative 5 is equal to negative 8 times 1 plus b. So let's go through and let's solve for b. So on this side of the equation, we're going to follow order of operations, which tells me that multiplication happens before addition. So negative 8 times 1 will give me negative 8. So now I have negative 5 equals negative 8 plus b. So then I'm going to add 8 to both sides to get that b alone. I wind up with 3. So now I've got a slope of negative 8. I've got a y-intercept of 3. So when I take those two pieces and put them back into slope-intercept form, I'm not going to replace the y or the x, but I am going to replace m and b. So the slope of my line will be negative 8x plus 3. So that's writing an equation of a perpendicular line. Now let's look at writing an equation of a parallel line. Number 5. We need to write the equation of the line that passes through the point 2, negative 1, and is parallel to the line y is equal to negative 2/5 x plus 3. Well, if two lines are going to be parallel, their slopes need to be identical. So the slope of my original line is negative 2 over 5. The slope of my new line needs to be negative 2 over 5. So now I've got my slope, negative 2 over 5. I got my x and my y. And I've got slope-intercept form, which tells me y is equal to mx plus b. So I'm going to take y, m, and x and plug them in. So y, negative 1, is equal to m, negative 2/5, times x, which is 2, plus b. Order of operations tells me that multiplication happens before addition. So negative 1 will be equal to negative 2/5 times 2, which will be negative 4/5. So negative 1 is equal to negative 4/5 plus b. Get the b alone by adding 4/5 to both sides, and I'll get negative 1/5 is equal to b. So I've got my slope, negative 2/5. I've got my y-intercept, negative 1/5. Put them together back in the slope-intercept form. Don't replace the y and the x, but do replace the m and the b. So my slope of, or excuse me, the equation of my parallel line will be y is equal to negative 2/5 x minus 1/5.